realize that. But I want us to both, Bill Kristol and I, to listen to this.
Look, these people are idiots, okay? Because they don't understand how the world works today. Boko Haram, they are checking their Twitter accounts. They are seeing what's happening on social media and what's happening worldwide. And George Will obviously doesn't understand that. Brett Hume doesn't understand that. They're sitting there in the studio saying, these darn kids, what are they up to? But it's just crazy. It's just ignorant at a certain point.
But it's not,
All right, there you go. That's Eugene Robinson as we welcome in Bill Kristol, founder and editor of the Weekly Standard, ABC News contributor. Hey, Bill.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on again. Always appreciate it. So that's they weren't talking about you specifically, and you wrote a brilliant piece, all tweet, no action, for the Weekly Standard. But they were talking about people who are criticizing the hashtag bring the girls home or whatever, and now they feel they've done their social duty and their due diligence, and I'm sorry to say, I think even Michelle Obama is and Hillary Clinton tweeted out along those lines.
Yeah, I think the criticism isn't that we don't understand that people at Boko Haram or other Al-Qaeda connected terrorist groups understand social media. They actually use social media pretty effectively, unfortunately. It's that we look pathetic when our response to an actual kidnapping, not a social media kidnapping, not a Twitter kidnapping, not a hashtag kidnapping, an actual brutal kidnapping of 250 or so girls is social media. That's the problem. It's not that conservatives don't know what Twitter is or something like that. So I do think the Michelle Obama photo, the photo of her holding up the bring back our girls, hashtag bring back our girls sign, will be a moment when people look back at the Obama administration and say, this is what happens. A bunch of terrorists kidnap girls, and the wife of the President of the United States thinks it's a good idea to look like a sort of hapless and helpless bystander who feels bad about the situation.
So it'll be one of those seminal moments when history looks back, and it'll be representative of, as history looks back, of Obama and his administration, you think?
I think it could be. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not saying it's so obviously easy to do something, but that's what we have presidents for, and they should at least be serious about what we can and can't do. Speak to the country about what we are doing and what we're not doing, or maybe don't tell us everything we're doing if we're doing some other things. But this notion that it's a substitute for action to say things, I mean, that's deeply embedded, I think, in the Obama administration. And to get to Hillary Clinton, and you were discussing it interestingly just a few minutes ago, I mean, I do think Republicans and conservatives shouldn't obsess about any one instance, though I think Benghazi is a true scandal and needs to be investigated. The critique has to be of the overall foreign policy. Why did we get to the situation we were in September 11th, 2012 in Benghazi? We intervened in Libya in early 2011. I supported it. We then did nothing. Basically, we pulled out. We were afraid, really, to be serious about trying to use influence and power there. We stripped down our missions. We didn't do much for the new Libyan government. We ended up in the worst of all worlds with, a mission out in Benghazi without much support. An ambassador visiting there, and unfortunately, the terrorists had a plan, and they executed it to kill him and to kill other Americans. So that's the critique. It has to be of the overall foreign policy, and it will be, I think. And she has a record as Secretary of State. They can say all they want that, she regrets certain things and life is full of tough choices. But I don't think we're talking. There are tough choices that are close calls made in the spur of the moment. It's a little hard to second guess those sometimes. We're not talking about that. We're talking about 4 years of well-considered policies based on a deep view, a deep ideological view of America's desirable role in the world, or lack thereof, which has produced a much more dangerous world. I think that is a very easy and strong case for Republicans to make. Now, whether a Republican presidential candidate will make it is another question, but he'll have a bunch of consultants telling him, don't talk too much about foreign policy.
That's what I'm afraid of.
On the economy,
That's exactly what I'm afraid of. It was interesting, though. I think you heard it. I didn't realize you were on it. Like I said, I probably would have shut up and gone to you sooner. But the way Susan Rice said when asked if they'll find anything with Benghazi's special select committee, she said, danged if I know, and then said, but what we have to remember is there are 4 dead Americans. Basically what Hillary said, but in a terribly put way. And now, I think we got the first taste of Hillary, as you alluded to, saying, sure, I made mistakes, who doesn't, and I'm sorry, and I regret it, and it was awful, and I'm sure that's what she's going to be saying.
Yeah, and I think the 4 dead Americans it's a revealing kind of way of putting it, because think of it, if there were a murder on the block outside where you live or something, and 4 people were killed. And if it would be appropriate for the police response to be, oh, it's really terrible, it's very sad. The thing we have to remember above all is there are 4 dead Americans. Yes, you do have to remember that, but the thing we have to remember above all is, why did this happen? Was there insufficient police presence? Have we caught the perpetrators? What are we doing to catch them? And so forth. I mean, it's honestly an evasion to try to turn this into a tragedy when it's a result of government action and inaction. Now, maybe they'll be able to argue you couldn't have avoided it. It was just too difficult, et cetera. But that's the debate we have to have. It's a public policy debate, not who feels the worst about the people being killed.
And by the way, there's a Fox News poll out, and they address this issue. 54% of voters think Obama and his administration were deceitful. Half say the same about Hillary Clinton. And in addition, 51-39 voters say White House knowingly lied about the attacks to help President get reelected. And this is pretty interesting if it's accurate among Democrats. 25% say Obama has tried to deceive people on Benghazi. So that's a significant number. If they care about that going forward, it could hurt.
Right, it will hurt Hillary because she was Secretary of State then, and she was actually the first one, I believe, to deceive. She was the first one to highlight the video in her statement that was put out, I think, at 10 p.m. that night, and then certainly in everything she said over the next 2-3 days. So this is not simply an Obama scandal, it's an Obama administration scandal. It's the White House, it's Susan Rice. Excuse me,
You got a cold. No, I appreciate you doing this. I feel terrible, yeah.
It's the White House, it's Susan Rice, but it's also Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let me, speaking of Hillary Clinton, one more time here. What'd you think of Karl Rove? To me, him being accused now by, Chuck Todd even said it smells of sexism. I mean, everybody expects presidential candidates to release their health records, although I don't think Obama released all of his, to be honest with you, along with school records and other records that he didn't release. But it's usual, it's historical, it's procedure for them to release their medical records. It's just, I believe, that it came from Karl Rove, and it came 2 years in advance.
Right. I think it was foolish in the sense that I don't think it was a horrible thing he said, or he has to apologize or something. But I guess maybe he has a little bit. But it's just foolish in the sense of there'll be plenty of time to demand that medical records be released. There'll be plenty of time for voters to see what kind of condition Mrs. Clinton's in. There's just no need to raise that issue now, especially when I think there are very legitimate. This is the height of the moment to raise the issue of Benghazi and to raise the issue of Boko Haram and what the Clinton State Department did or didn't do about that. So I think her main vulnerability remains what she did and didn't do as Secretary of State, and I prefer to keep the focus on that for a while.
Yeah, no, but having said that, let me digress for one moment here and listen to what Bill Clinton revealed yesterday. Let's watch that one.
I was sort of dumbfounded. They went to all this trouble to say that she had staged what was a terrible concussion that required 6 months of very serious work to get over. Something she never lowballed with the American people, never tried to pretend didn't happen.
Well, she never told, no one ever knew until yesterday that it took 6 months for her to get over that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Bill Clinton will end up being a help to the Republicans because he just can't shut up, and he's going to say enough things that will lead to further inquiries. I think, incidentally, Hillary's book coming out, which is pretty soon now, I think June 10th, is going to be very interesting because people are now going to look at her account of her tenure as Secretary of State and what she did in different areas of the world, the Middle East, Israel, Boko Haram, Benghazi, Russia, the reset, and really, I think, appropriately go over those carefully. I think they thought a year ago this book is a total winner. They'll make millions of dollars. It'll be a victorious book tour. It could be, especially if Republicans are doing their job in terms of research and getting the research out and critiquing the book, it could really end up being, I think, a big problem for her. I don't think she'll be entirely candid about everything she did and didn't do. I think she'll give a very rosy picture of some of these her interventions and what she did and didn't do in some of these areas.
She'll still make the $1 million.
She will make the money.
Yeah, but it could be maybe a short-term gain, long-term loss. Hey, Bill, always great to talk to you. Feel better, my friend.
Thanks, Steve. Be well.
Thank you. Bill Kristol, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very, very interesting stuff. When we come back, it's the panel. Walsburg panel. Don't go away.